Hello and welcome to episode 1293 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Monday, May 6th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good afternoon, sir.
Good. It is afternoon.
Yeah.
I was going to say good morning.
I was ready.
And then
I was ready to tell you the right time there.
Yeah, there we go. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Got some yard work done already, trying to get on top of everything. Mentioned it on Friday, taking a little jaunt out to California, just a little weekend trip to San Diego. So I want to make sure everything's done. Don't have to work, but yeah, got some yard work done. On top of things on this Monday, feeling accomplished despite staying up a little late and sleeping in a little bit. Still was able to get a lot done. You stayed up late. Are you caught up on your day? Or are you still behind?
I don't know. I'm still waking up, to be quite honest. I'm not gonna lie. I'm just like, I was up till like 3 a.m. doing work and stuff like that, and then
Damn.
I was like, and then I had to get up at 6 to get the kids ready for school. So like it was, I was a zombie this morning. So when you were like, hey, can we record a little later? I was like, oh, thank God. So
yes, please. Yeah, we move. Monday we kind of are flexible between morning and afternoon recording. Thursday's afternoon, and then Friday is morning. So even with my trip, we should be good for Friday. I'm 99% certain that we're leaving in the afternoon, so I'll have time to do it in the morning. But we're going to talk a lot of pitching today. We got one of our first big frenzies of a guy who was super available and went really high with really strong backups in the main event landscape. I imagine that a lot of that is trickling down to the deeper mixed leagues, that are privately run. People running their leagues. Shallow leagues, curious, where you're going to be at on this, guys. Of course, Christian Scott, but then we're going to get into Superstar Breakout or Fast Start Pitcher Edition. And yes, we are going to talk Ranger Suárez again, y'all, because the last time we discussed him was April 18th, and he's been nothing but amazing since then. So there is another conversation to be had with him as trying to see if he is, the big breakout pitcher of the year. But let's circle back to Scott. Big time prospect for the Mets, comes up on Saturday. Thank you for that, Christian Scott. Although that didn't really, do anything to temper prices. Sometimes you worry like a guy comes up on Sunday, he's going to have a whole week. This is more of a concern with hitters because if they start on Sunday as a pitcher, they're not going to get but one start. But a hitter comes up on Sunday and then just has a killer week, and the price goes through the roof. Well, that was the case with Scott. No matter what, his price was through the roof. Big time get for people. First off, let's just start before we get into the fab and all of it. Where are you at on Christian Scott, pitcher for the Mets? Is he the real deal to you? Is he somebody to go in on?
I feel like he could be. And I mean, I was in on him, just not to the level that other people were. I mean,
yeah, I got
the prices. Yeah, go ahead, because the prices were insane.
Main event, he was available in 33 of them. Now, he was not available in some because people picked him up early when there was a waiver period where you could pick up prospects. So he wasn't available in all 57, but the 33 Christian Scott was 364 on average. Runner-up was 293, so competitive throughout. The biggest split was 331, only because the highest cost was 677. Yeah. And then somebody got him under 200. I think two people got sub 200.
Not
197. Yeah, not in my league either. He was in that mid threes the way he was for most of them. So
he was 471 in mine.
I see that was the
of 350.
350. That's the fifth highest. Excuse me. So there were two 400 plus, two more 500 plus, and then the 600. And then a ton of 300s. That 197 was the only sub 200, pardon me. And then there were 5 in the 2 to 300 range. So Christian Scott was the guy to go get, like I said, aggressive backup bids all over. So people weren't out on an island here. What's Christian Scott bring to the table for the Mets?
I mean, he's got pretty darn good stuff. A really good fastball, slider combo, a usable splitter. And I mean, outside of his time in AAA this year, where he gave up a few too many home runs, he's shown really decent command, and he doesn't walk a lot of guys. So I think he's got all the tools in order to be a really, really good starting pitcher. And if I was in a position in one of my leagues where I was like, oh, I'm really dying for pitching right now, and then there are a couple of leagues where I am in that position, I would have gotten pretty aggressive. That being said, I just don't like the idea of spending half of your year's start fab, not even half of your remaining fab, half of the year's start fab on a guy. Like I just don't think that it makes sense for the rest of the season.
That was required in your league.
Yeah.
471. So you're basically getting to 5 bills.
So I put $137 on him, I think, in every league. Or at least every league where I made a bid on him. There were a couple leagues where I was like, I just can't rationalize dropping
that kind
of Ranger Suárez, who we're about to talk about. Like, I've got a couple leagues where it's just like my pitchers are just too good.
Oh, we get it. Your pitching is so perfectly crafted. I am a master at pitching. I'm
in a spot where like I just haven't been hit by injuries, right? Like where I haven't had to like, in a few leagues, which is, lucky to say the least.
Does Rob Silver just go by Silver for a team name? Do we think that's him?
Probably, yeah.
He got him one of the cheaper ones, $289. Unsurprisingly, John Posma, 2 of the cheaper ones. He got the 9th and 10th cheapest prices. Now they paid $289, and then both the Posmas were $317. Don't get me wrong, but they came in on the lower end.
Do we remember
still a big money?
The first pitcher, you remember who the first pitcher that came up last year was? Because everybody was spending about $300 on him.
Fuck you.
It's Taj Bradley, for those who are wondering. And
I got him.
Yeah, you got him. And that one didn't really work out, right? At all.
But Yuri Perez did. Bobby Miller did. A lot did. So, but I think there is, especially the first wave. Like we saw Kyler Black go for, 2 bills in a lot of leagues yesterday. He was up there. Here's the thing. If people try to force Potapaloozas, they're going to lose because the talent just isn't there.
I appreciate you giving
sorry.
But
Potapalooza does rule, but Fabapalooza, if they're trying to force Fabapaloozas and like anoint these guys, I don't think it's there. Like, I like Black. I actually like Loperfido a good bit too. Like, I don't have problems with them, and a lot of their prices were pretty fair, but the pitching talent just isn't there outside of Skeens and Job, and Skeens isn't even available in a ton of main event leagues. He's being held. So, are you worried that Scott was pushed up on an attempted Fabapalooza? Do you worry the same for Tyler Black? Now, he was more reasonable. Only 1 went over 255. Only 4 of his 57, he was available in all 57 mains, was over 200. So that wasn't terrible, but it was pretty firmly triple digits outside of a little chunk. Maybe the bottom quarter there went under $100, which is a great price for Tyler Black. But do you think Christian Scott is kind of being forced into his own little Fabapalooza, or is the juice there for him to like credibly pop off?
I think the juice is there. I think he has all the stuff and all the makings of like a really, really impactful fantasy pitcher. Like, it would not surprise me if he's an SP 2 or 3 this year. I think there are definitely going to be questions about like, hey, how many innings is he going to get?
What do you get? Like low triple digits last year?
Not
have
even.
That offhand? Oh, okay. Yeah. High double digits or not? Or not
so like about 87.
Okay. Lower than
so like if he jumps up to like 110 or 120, like that sounds about right?
But he's 25. Should they really hold him back that much? Like if he's raring to go,
probably not. But this is also a Mets team that I don't know that it's going to be super competitive, especially in the NL East when you've got Philadelphia and you have the Braves, right? So
I don't hate the Mets team. They don't have the pitching.
No, but maybe this is part of maybe this is part of it. So. And we know they do have an owner who will get aggressive, right? We've got a brand new owner who is, the richest owner in baseball. So like, it wouldn't be out of this world for him to just go like, hey, it's trade deadline. We're in a playoff race. I'm just going to go buy a bunch of guys at the deadline.
and not kill the system, because while you'd have to give something if you're paying all the money,
Yeah, exactly.
they can give away some like okay prospects, pay all the money, and just go buy some pitching.
And they
That
just
could
got
definitely happen.
prospects from Scherzer and
They handled that
DeGrom.
as well as you could with how poorly it was going. Verlander
Yeah.
and Scherzer.
So they could just flip those guys back for somebody if they need to. But like
So back to Scott.
I just don't know that they're going to be that good by the time we get to the deadline.
Sure.
That they're going to want to make that decision.
What do you need to feel good about Scott? Let's take a look at his projections here. So we're talking the 15-team mixed league landscape here, folks. So we are a little dialed in on that specific. Obviously, the thresholds are going to be higher in your 12s and 10s for the numbers I'm about to say here. But when you're paying this kind of price, and you're not going to pay as much in the 10 or 12 either, by the way, in a lot of situations, they have him for like a low 4s ERA, 4.01 for the bat with a 118 whip. He only has 26 innings there. Obviously, it's going to be more. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. We don't fucking know. But I think it's going to be, let's say it is 90 innings of that. 401, 118. Who cares? Like, the wins will be what they will. Is that enough for your $300? If I could guarantee you that, would you have moved your bids to 300? 95 innings. I don't know. I think I said 96, but say 95, since we work on 5s and 0s in this world. 4.01 ERA, 118 whip from Christian Scott.
I mean,
We'll
I
leave
think
the
you can
23% K rate.
I think you can find that on the wire.
What if it's
Like-
guaranteed though? What, like, this is a fantasy, obviously, that we're talking about here, because you
Yeah.
don't know that. But what if I guaranteed it to you? Like, for example,
No, I think you need a Yuri Perez type of.
Okay.
Like you need. I can't remember what he threw last year. 100.
I got you.
100 innings, 339.
91 innings, 315, 120. Well, minus what he done before you got him.
Yeah.
So probably a little bit higher, like you're saying. I think you said 339. So let's just call it 335. We'll raise it 0.2 with a 115 whip for 80 innings. I don't know how many people lost, but we'll scrape off 10 innings and we'll raise the ratios a bit on Yuri.
I think you have to raise the strikeouts on Christian Scott in order for 95 innings to have and a four flat ERA to have that kind of.
No, 401 here, basically a 4 flat.
Yeah, that's what I said. A 4 flat ERA.
Oh, I thought you said 4.5 is what I thought.
No. A 4.5, and you're just screwed. You just bet
4.5 would be tough. That extra half run is a lot. So yeah, 4 flat, 118.
I think
23% K rate.
I think you're open for like a 3.5 ERA, like a 110 whip, and like a 30% strikeout rate.
I've got some wiggle on the whip if the ERA is that good.
But I mean, his walk rates have pretty much been like fantastic.
Well, I think that's the driving force for Christian Scott. That is what you're buying, is actually the whip, I think. So what if it is around 110? Because that's 8 points lower than the 118 I was saying here. Mm-hmm. Can you give on the ERA? Can you get to the 4 mark? Maybe. Or does it have to be 380?
Because I think for me the ERA is the sticking point. Like what his ERA is going to be, because I think he's going to get strikeouts. I mean, like you're talking about a guy who has had like pretty darn stellar swing strike rates,
crazy whiff rates,
pretty great, strikeout rates. Like even in his debut, he had an 18% swing strike rate. I think the projection systems are discounting like how good of swing miss stuff Christian Scott has.
I should also add that, sorry, real quick, 6 2/3 of excellent work also added to those price points with Christian Scott. Yeah. Continue.
So, to me, they're the two questions on Christian Scott are how many innings is he going to throw? Is he going to throw enough innings that he can volume those strikeouts? And then where that strikeout rate actually ends up. But, to me, I would never spend $400 plus on a guy. I would have a really hard time even spending $250, $300. But I think if there was a guy, at least this early in the season, to do it, I think Christian Scott's the dude. So I'm not going to badger or beat up anybody for spending whatever they spent. Mm-hmm. I do think there is some huge downside because he is a pitcher too. Like pitchers get
Of
hurt all
course.
the effing time. Like we saw with Andrew Painter last year, right? Like he was supposed to be the Christian
dude.
Scott, the Yuri
Yeah.
Perez, and
He would have
never
been in
made
that
it to the
class.
majors. Yeah,
Could
he
you
would
have
have been the guy.
imagined?
Yeah, he would have been the guy like everybody spent the most on.
For real, Andrew Painter is still supposed to be a dude, but he was like
Yeah.
right on the cusp there, and he would have been another huge triple-digit guy. Yeah, I like that whip foundation a lot for Christian Scott. That can really build off of. He hasn't had higher than a 1 whip or 0.9 even at a stop since 2 innings in A ball last year. Who gives a crap about that? 21 innings in 2022. So his last 3 stops have been 0.8, 0.84, and 0.71. And that's all high minors. So the more Christian Scott's going up the scale, his whips are almost getting lower, 0.71 in 25 innings at AAA. All small samples, but I do like him. I think it is an interesting buy. And another part is comfort in yourself to manage on a low budget, right? I think part of the reason is that you don't want to get caught without some money. So that's a personal part of your management style that says you need more cushion. And I do too. I'm not saying it as a negative. For me to be comfortable in that end game in August and September, I got to have some bills to throw around just to feel like I can do what I got to do. So that's going to
I want to make sure at least I have like $100 entering
for the last 2 months. Oh, for September.
Yeah. Like
some people will take like 40 into September.
Yeah, I entered September with like $80 in my auction league that I won, and it was like I still won, but a big reason why like I fell back to the pack a little bit and almost lost was because I just did not have enough fab to be competitive when I needed to like stem the tide of like other guys kind of just being able to buy whoever they wanted. So
exactly. It can be so valuable. It really, really can. Obviously, don't save to the detriment of yourself, but it does mean maybe dialing down on these big dogs. Cause like, yeah, Scott could pan out. I'm not rooting against him at all. Like that, it'd be cool to see. I really hope he is a really good pitcher, but like, you don't have to, you're not going to lose the league because of, I mean, there'll be an individual league, I'm sure, where somebody says, my opponent bought Christian Scott and I lost because of that. But you know what I mean? Sitting out those $500 guys won't lose you a league.
I'm sure the guy in my, or, a couple of the guys in my auction league last year were like, well, you won that league based on Yuri Perez.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, I don't think I win that league without Yuri Perez, but it also could have lost me the league had I.
We don't know how you would have allocated those $300 either, though. Like, there's a world, right? It would have been harder because you got it all from one guy. I also
got CJ Abrams for $75 in that league.
And he went crazy.
Maybe I found a $75 CJ Abrams as a pitcher, later on. So like, I think there is.
You still made the move though, man. Don't like. I know you're not, but like, don't discredit your win because like, oh, I got these 2 key moves. Like that's the whole thing, right? We're trying to hit the big moves. It's not like, sometimes people will undercut it with like, oh, you got lucky with that. Well, yeah, that's kind of the point of the game though, right? Is to make the right moves and get over return on them.
It's very similar to like, and Scott Jenstead is like the king of this, right? Like, so like I talk about liking hitters like Nico Horner, right? Like, because they make so much contact that they give themselves the opportunity to get lucky. And so like what Scott does in a lot of his leagues is like, he doesn't bid, these early $300 bids. He bids a lot of $15 bids and $20 bids. And because he's giving himself the opportunity to get lucky. And like in that main event league from Vegas that we had, like he hit on a like $14 John Birdie, went on to steal like 30 something big, right? And that was the difference in the league. So like I think like I don't think there is necessarily a right or a wrong answer. I think you definitely play to your strength, but like I think that you give yourselves more opportunity to be lucky by spreading the wealth around a little bit.
I think that's totally sensible. And I can get behind that. I have also kind of brought down where I'm at the high end. We'll see what happens if a guaranteed closer comes through, though, dude. I am dying out there with the closer landscape. It's a effing nightmare. Anyway, let's continue moving on. We did spend a quarter of the show on one topic. We haven't even got to the main topic yet, but I love talking stuff like that. That's like my favorite, is breaking down the strategy and how you approach things. Superstar breakout or just a fast start pitcher edition. We talked up some hitters, got the temperature on where they're at. Again, I hinted at it earlier. We got to start with Ranger Suárez. We have to. I know you go look at his Fangraphs page, like his last 10 article features, articles that he's mentioned in are probably podcast posts. But he just keeps dominating. It'd be one thing if we were just, talking about the guy and he was constantly giving up 5 earned and hemorrhaging back that ERA start. But he keeps going. So I said we talked about him on April 18th. Since then, 171 ERA, 067 whip, and 19 Ks in 21 innings. So not a crazy K rate, but I'll take 19 and 21 innings when you're doing that kind of work around it. Is this just another hot run from Ranger Suárez, which we've seen before, even longer than 7 starts? Or is he jumping a level here and going to be at a higher clip for the season?
It's so hard to tell. Because there's certain, you look at like the game logs and they're all like very kind of different in terms of like the swing and strike rate. I mean, his last 2 games, his swing and strike rate's been under 8%. So you go like, oh, maybe this isn't the breakout that we thought, especially in terms of the strikeouts. I don't think this is like a full-fledged breakout. I do think this is going to come back to earth. But at the same time, like you look and like he's only had like, I think is it 2 or 3 starts in which he has allowed more than 4 hits. Two starts in which he's allowed more than 4 hits. So like, yeah, he does allow a lot of contact, but he's also getting like either easy outs or strikeouts, and the defense behind him is pretty good. And I've gotten a ton of questions on him. Like, should I jump off? Should I drop him for Kyle Bradish? Don't drop him. Definitely don't drop him. But like, I do think you should entertain offers on him. Like, I'm not saying you have to trade him, but like, I think like if someone comes to you and goes, listen, I really need a pitcher. Here is a top 75 hitter. Yeah, I'm taking the 75 hitter.
That's why I wanted to bring up Suárez again, because now, because we say this early on, like, oh, just sell. And it's like, okay, we know how hard trading is, right? And to really get something, like, you're not pulling the wool over people's eyes. You shouldn't be trying to either. I think that's, I don't really want to play fantasy when I'm trying to get over. Because generally in trade leagues, it's a home league. So it's people that and ostensibly like. So I'm not trying to get over, but I want to make an even trade. And if somebody's going to offer me some waiver fodder for Ranger Suárez after 2 starts, I understand why they don't want to jump in. But now, 6 wins in, that's another thing too. Like, the win train should continue with Suárez even as he regresses, because he's on a good team and they have a deep bullpen to support him.
Yeah.
You won't get 6 wins per 7 starts, but I think you're still going to get.
Oh, you don't think he's going to win 27 games this year?
Maybe I'm a hater, but I don't.
Yeah, I think you are a hater.
I think I am a hating ass bish. Okay, so let's talk some potential hitters here. And first off, let me know if you think you could get them and if you'd take them. What about 27th ranked on our player rater, by the way, our new player rater, Taylor Ward? 7 homers, 279 average, 2 for 5 on the bases. They might red light him soon. 24 ribs, 19 runs, but Trout's out. So,
and how long before Taylor Ward is out?
Fair, but he's playing right now.
I think that is actually really fair. And so, like, if that was the best I could get, and I really did need the pitching, if Ranger Suárez was your last drafted pitcher, or a guy you picked up off the waiver wire, like, I don't mind that.
You really need hitting, and you're flush with pitching.
I feel like you should be able to get something a little bit more. Like, that Angels lineup around him is barren, and the injury history on Ward is so sketchy himself that
Jordan Westburg.
I think
6
that's
homers,
a really good one.
4 steals, 286 average. Reasons to be skeptical: 5% walk rate, 20% K rate. Not the best plate skills. BABIP at 322 is not egregious, but running nicely. definitely hot right now, but also has the chance to be really good on the year. Jordan Westberg, part of an amazing team, the direct opposite of the Ward situation as far as the lineup goes. I think that's a credible trade offer. Like if the Westberg manager got really put off by that, I'd be like, well, you're greatly overrating your guy. I like Westberg, but I like Suárez too. So I think that'd be a pretty fair offer. Would you get there?
Probably not.
Okay.
Westbrook's actually not been very good the last few weeks. And
Coming
so
down already?
yeah, you have to start wondering, like, hey, was that just a really hot, especially because I was lower on Westbrook to start the season than everybody else. Like now I start to see him, since the 22nd, he's kind of, he's hitting 213, 245, 319 with 1 home run and a stolen base and 2 caught stealings. I don't think I do that.
Since when is that? What was that time period?
Since the 22nd, so about 2 weeks.
So in that same time period, 557 OPS for Cowser, who I love, by the way. But like we knew he was going to come down. He's come down in a big way, and that happens.
Well, especially
Suárez
when you're in
hasn't
that
had
park,
it come
like
down,
it's.
though. Well,
like,
yeah, I'm sure they're getting hits stolen, both of them.
Yeah.
Riley Green, Detroit Tigers, playing pretty well. Like this is a guy that I've always had trouble with. I always talk about how I'm not really there from the fantasy perspective because I'm like, well, what comes with the batting average? Does the batting average even come? Because he strikes out a decent bit. 269 average, I'm actually fine with that. I'll take that. 17% walk rate, huge spike up. 8 homers. The power, 110-point ISO jump off of last year, 159 to 269. Now, a 29% homer to fly ball for Riley Green, that's going to come down. But he might be one to talk about on breakout or fast start if we do another hitters edition. But what about him for Rangers as far as Riley Green?
You're picking like guys that I just was not in on at the beginning of the year.
I'm making you think, though. I'm giving you good decision choices here. I think they're decent names, right?
These are good names. God, yeah. I mean, I didn't realize how good Riley Green has been this year.
Been on fire.
Yeah. I think Riley Green is one I'm more apt to do.
Okay.
Maybe like I'm not ready to like take an L on Riley Green, but I did project him for like 17 home runs and he has 8 already. So like I'm probably going to end up taking that L. I think that is one I would do, especially if I needed the outfielder or I needed the power. He's going to play every day. He's got a fairly decent health history. I know he was a little banged up earlier on in the season, but I'm not super worried about his health in the same way that I would be worried about Taylor Ward's health. So, yeah, I think that's what I would do if I needed the offense. I still feel like you could get more though. Like Rangers been so damn good. Like he's been so damn good.
Okay, so don't forget you're judging these based on your perspective of some of these hitters, but also don't forget you're a big Rangers Suárez fan too.
And that's part of the problem. It's like I've always loved Rangers Suárez.
Yeah, they might have stumbled upon him a little bit more, and that's why they're open to trading. I'm not even sure you would trade Suárez because this is a guy panning out that you've always loved. What about a guy we both like, Josh Naylor? I believe he was on the hitter edition of Superstar Breakout or Fast Start, and we felt pretty comfortable with him. 8 homers, 271 average.
That's what I'm doing. This is like the perfect 1-for-1.
Because there's still risk, right?
Yeah,
like
there's
his
still
health,
risk. He's platoon risk, health risk. Like, yeah, I mean, this is one I would totally take Josh Naylor. I think that would be like a really fair trade. I also think you could get a panicked person on a star, like not necessarily saying like a first round pick, but like
agreed.
Like in some leagues where guys aren't as in tune or gals aren't as in tune as maybe our listeners are. Yeah, like. Someone might make a like, well, screw it, I'll give you Corbin Carroll or
for real,
and especially with a shoulder issue, like
that might not be horrendous. Like obviously, I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying they could be one of those ones that at the end of the year we look back and we say, wow, the Corbin Carroll seller, was on something. What about a couple buy lows here? Because in the vein you're going, but I was going a little bit better. A little bit less expensive a player. In fact, I was talking about 2 young guys here, Evan Carter and Jackson Chourio. Would you buy low on either of them for Ranger Suárez?
Evan Carter, no. Jackson Chorio, I think I would.
Okay, because he brings
I
that
had-
power speed combo.
Yeah, and I just had concerns about Evan Carter's ability to hit left-handed pitching. So, and I really apologize. My phone keeps going off, and it's playing the Alex Fast.
Oh my God, that's
cha-cha
so
cha.
funny. I was wondering what the hell that sound was. I was like, are you playing a game right now?
No. So my wife made me because for some reason I wasn't getting text messages, like my phone wasn't vibrating when she would text me. So she was all like, "I need to be able to reach you when things are
Fair.
going on."
Yeah.
And so she like made me set up my phone so that way like it would go through this. I always have my phone on silent. I never have my phone on.
Same.
And so, but now her text too, but she is texting back and forth with my child.
And
with
you're on the
me
thread.
attached,
Yeah.
and I can't get them to stop. So if
Been
you hear
there.
Alex Fast's voice in the background, that's what it is, because my text message like sound is him going Colorado cha cha cha, Arizona cha cha cha.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I was hearing something. I just couldn't tell what it was. Now that I know it's that, it's even better. All right, let's move on to the most handsome pitcher in the universe, obviously Tyler Glasnow. And again, somebody we have had some discussion about, but I think it's a different discussion now, and not different from what we just talked about with Ranger Suárez. It's that same combo. It's the sell high combo. We always knew the talent was there. It's just like, how much you're going to get. I was always concerned that not going to get enough because of the health, the inconsistent command, maybe due to all the long levers. Well, he goes out to the Dodgers. So far, so great. We know injury is the concern. Do you try to sell high, or do you ride this out with Tyler Glasnow?
I'm gonna get yelled at. Of course, I'm gonna try to sell high. He's never thrown like 140 innings in the majors before.
120 was his cap, and he said it last year.
So how many innings is he at right now?
50.
I mean, you're halfway home, baby. Like,
they'll turn him loose. Like, he'll pitch as long as he can. I'm not saying that he'll make it the full season.
Only if you can get an absolute stud. Like, I mean, like, I know I've been the low man on Glasnow. I stand behind my process on Glasnow, and I do worry that he will break down. But like, unless we're getting a 1-for-1 stud as a hitter, like, I don't know how you sell him right now. He's just insanely good, and like, the talent has never been the question. So like,
exactly.
Like, but like, there's so many people that need pitching, that lost Spencer Strider, that lost, all these other, starting pitchers, that like, you should be able to get a first round hitter for Tyler Glasnow right now. And that is probably the only way I'm doing it, because if you drafted him, you love him because you had to spend a really high pick.
Exactly.
Like,
you just have to be overloaded on pitching.
You should get one of the Dodgers hitters, like a Mookie Betts.
The only way you're trading him, Kyle Tucker, I would take.
Yep.
Soto.
Tatis.
Here's one. He wasn't a first rounder, but he's playing like one. Gunnar. I think I'd take Gunnar.
Let me look up Gunnar. I was about to say sure, but again, he was a guy I had questions on.
Take a look. 10-6, 274, 351, 563 so far. Strikeout walk rates are right in line with last year. 27% homer to fly ball is certainly helping, but he's also a stud. Excuse me. So
now
I think I would
getting
take
lucky against left-handed pitching, but he's actually hitting left-handed pitching this year in a way that he really
is encouraging.
hasn't. It's very encouraging. So I might. That is a tough one. I feel like you could get Gunnar Henderson and a piece, which like
that'd be nice.
Like that might be something I would do. Like I think most people always want the best player in a deal. If you can get two players you really love, like I love doing those kind of deals. I always, especially in shallower leagues, I always want to try to get the best player in the deal. I want to be the one giving 2-for-1, but like, especially if you need depth, I've got a number of leagues where I've been decimated by injury, and I would love some depth. If I can get two guys who I think are studs, like for Tyler Glasnow, I might do that.
Yeah, I think I'd certainly be open to the 2-for-1 with him, but also some of these 1-for-1s with the top end guys. Again, to take Glasnow, you had to love him, so you're not dying to trade him. It would just be a situation where your pitching is uber panned out, and you know you can get the kind of impact bat you need in this theoretical of where your hitting is lagging and your pitching is just beastly. So yeah, I get that. I'm with you on Glasnow, and he is indeed second to only Mr. Ranger Suárez there on the player rater. Next up, this one might surprise some folks unless they have him or they've been watching him, but he's back. Dylan Cease, sitting 6th on the player rater right now. He was the 98th pick on average. So, you know, still top 100. The market didn't really quit him, right? You got a better price, which is fair after a 4.58 ERA, 142 whip, but it certainly wasn't rock bottom. That said, I'm always buying the dip on Cease. He's a volatile guy. This could still go south. I'm not saying this is a win just because it's gone well through 7 starts. But he's just a guy with his talent, at least, you know, on the right side of 30 here, that I'm going to easily buy the dip. And I thought something around the 90 to 110 range was pretty fair on him. So far, so good. Do you believe that it can continue with Cease? So this is more of a re-breakout than an actual breakout. But I think with like Suárez and even Glasnow, because he's never pitched more than 120 innings, I think you could say that if he puts up like the full 140 plus, even I'll lower the threshold for him. We could call that a breakout. Cease has broken out before, but is he re-breaking out?
No, he's not re-breaking out. This is the Dr. Jekyll
range
part
of outcomes. Yeah,
this is Dr. Jekyll. We have not seen the monster yet, but the monster is still in there. There's nothing that is tangibly different in the profile on Dylan Cease. I mean, even look at like his game logs. He's got, you know, multiple 3+ walk inning or games this season.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really good start. I do think that there are changes to the fantasy profile, quote unquote, of Dylan Cease because he's in San Diego.
Yeah.
No. I mean, I think the walk rate's gonna, you know, be up
spike
and down,
back up.
Up and down.
It's like, marginally better. Yeah, I don't want to overrate that.
And like I said, he had a 5 walk outing, so the ability to lose his control in an instant is definitely there. But it's just the context of the team. It's you are on a good team that's going to get you wins, even sometimes when you struggle, and you're in a better park to pitch in, generally speaking. So I think those contextual things make him a better pitcher than last year. But do I think that Dylan Cease is re-broken out or no? I think we all knew this was in there. I think we also know that last year is still in there. And like, if he has, you know, like a 14% walk rate the rest of the way, I'm not going to be surprised.
That's true. I think that's totally fair with Dylan Cease. Obviously, everything's working right now. Home run rate is tiny at 4% homer to fly ball, 186 BABIP. So like, he is at the best version.
61% strand rate. Like, I mean, he is like, he's
crazy.
He's pitching well and he's getting very lucky. So like, I don't want to discount the pitching well part, but I also want to say like, hey, he's getting pretty lucky. The zone rate hasn't changed from last year. He still does not go into the zone a ton, which means walks will come back.
He's running the 2022 version right now, but the 2023 version is just there. Like it's still,
and I think he's
there.
A mix between the two, right? Like I don't, think
and that's what I said.
20, I don't.
He was the easiest 3-year average guy. Dylan Cease was like it's the laziest thing to do, but it was the easiest guy to just do that with because he can be any of those 3 seasons. Give me the average.
I'm gonna say something that sounds hyperbolic, but that isn't really.
Okay, go for it. I'll be the judge of that.
He is the better version of Mitch Keller. Like he is a guy you don't know what crazy. You're going to get start to start. Now the skills are better on Dylan Cease. I think he is a better pitcher. I would have drafted Dylan Cease.
Basically name brand Dylan Cease, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean name brand Mitch Keller. Name brand Mitch Keller.
Like there's nothing wrong with drafting a guy like Dylan Cease. For me, I don't like the huge ups and downs. And so I didn't draft him, I don't think anywhere this year. But like I get why people last year I had a problem. I had a massive problem with
the premium. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Always buy the dip on somebody like Cease. Yeah. That's how I'm going to. Well, I won't say always, not forever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
But like
He's
It
the
was
Tyler
easy.
O'Neill of pitchers.
Exactly. We'll cap it at that. I don't need to expound on that. Shota Imanaga, we have not talked about him since the beginning of the season, like when we did our breakout or our breakdowns. And I don't even think that his player page was connected yet. Because I was like, we haven't talked about him all year on the show, and we really haven't. He's been great. We've talked about him in passing, but he's never been a subject that made him go on the rundown and thus show up in his profile. But he's having a wonderful season. 35 innings into his major league career, 6 starts for Imanaga, 27% K rate, 3% walk rate, which is amazing. And it has led to an 0.78 ERA and an 0.75 whip, 0.52 home run rate, thanks to a 5% homer to fly ball. And I highlight that specifically because that's the big concern that everyone has. He's also toting a 91% left on base, true Tony Babbitt. Tons of numbers there. I know sometimes it's a flood. Bottom line is Imanaga's been untouchably great so far. It obviously will not last at this clip, but what are we getting from here forward with Imanaga? And then we'll talk about the potential sell high. But for now, what is your projection from today forward with Imanaga? Is it different than what you thought coming in?
Can I work backwards on this one a little bit?
Sure, absolutely.
Do not sell Shota Imanaga.
Okay,
I think
that's
Shota
fine. So
Imanaga, I think he's
that
an
cancels
ace.
that.
I think he's an absolute ace. Like,
let's go.
I think that everybody was excited about oh god, why am I blanking on the Dodgers Japanese?
No.
Yamamoto, and we saw in the WBC that Imanaga had the best stuff of anybody pitching, especially on that Japanese team. And his stuff is absolutely filthy. He's got amazing control. He does not go into the zone, but everybody chases him out of it. Obviously things can change and we'll continue to monitor, but we shouldn't be calling him Imanaga. We should be calling him Himanaga.
Himanaga. He is him, baby.
He is him. I only have 2 shares of Imanaga. One was in a dynasty league where I had 2 top, I don't know, 7 or 8 picks, something like that. And I desperately need pitching in that league. And so I took Yamamoto and Imanaga. And in the other one, I'm not going to lie, I thought I was getting Yamamoto and I drafted Imanaga. I was like, why is he still on the board? I had no idea what I was doing. It was in November. It is super racist, and I'm sorry. I apologize. But I'm so grateful for the mistake because he has been the best pitcher on my team in that league. I think this is completely legitimate. I really, really do. Obviously he's not going to have a sub 1 or 2 ERA the rest of the way, but low 3s, maybe even high 2s ERA, a good whip because he doesn't walk guys. I think he can strike out guys that are better and hitting 26% strikeout rate. Seems completely legitimate to me. I think this is him. This is like the Cubs did really, really well this offseason. I don't think people talk about how well they did. Especially once Bellinger gets back healthy to get, Bellinger back on this team. This is him.
I love it, man. I love the excitement there, and makes me feel better about drafting him in my other main. Because Bybee is not him being not him. Okay, that one didn't work. But he's been okay. I can't say goodbye to him. He's still too good for that. Let's be honest. But it's been a little unsettling. So I love Imanaga. I can't pretend I was super, super into him coming into the year.
I wasn't really drafting him at all. I totally
same.
Again, I stand by the process. I don't like drafting guys coming over to the majors for the first time. I think it's a huge jump in talent level. But man, do I wish I had, because I do think this is a buy high right now. I think there are going to be plenty of people who want to sell on Imanaga and go because of course he's going to regress. I mean, you can't do this for the entire season, but I have no problem playing full freight on Imanaga right now.
What do you think that looks like? Care to foster a guess on? What we might be paying for full freight on.
I trade Randy Suárez.
Oh, we could. Doesn't Yahoo have something where they show trades?
Oh, I think they do actually.
Like recent trades, and I know we're in. Dude, I'm getting murdered in the head-to-head league again, y'all.
Oh, I am my
number.
So you know how I said I have no injuries. That does not include that league. That league is absolutely decimated with injury, and I just lost Wyatt Langford. Like, I mean, like, I just can't get healthy in that league.
That's frustrating.
So let's see. I think I'm on my phone, so I don't know that I can see.
I'm trying to find it, but I think it might be the Yahoo Plus that you have to pay for. And I'm not against paying for cool stuff. I don't play enough Yahoo to be trying to pay.
So,
transaction trends, maybe? No, that's just the ups and
downs.
Trade market. I found it. It is free. Trade market. All right, Imanaga.
They're all going to be ones where I go, I would do that in a heartbeat. I do that in a heartbeat. I do that in a heartbeat.
Oh, wait, no. Wait, yeah, this is supposed to be... I'm failing, y'all. Just ignore me. I don't think I found it.
It's all right. I'm going to go to our brand new player rater, and I'm going to look at hitters, and I'm going to ask
some stuff
you.
There for us. Oh, wait, I did find him. I'm sorry. I did find him. Ketel Marte. Let me do 3, and then I'll give you some. Okay. Fernando Tatis.
That I would not do.
I stop a bit short of that.
Yeah, but like, again, when I was talking about like, hey, sometimes you can sell Ranger Suárez for things that are like insane. Like there are leagues like this where people just don't know any better.
What about Manny Machado?
I don't think I would want to do that, but I don't think that is out of bounds.
What if you landed on, nice third baseman that you can slot right in? I don't know, man. That was okay. So I just wanted to do those 3. There's a bunch of multi-team or multiplayer ones. There's one Imanaga for Glasnow. It's like, what's the point? I mean, I might actually do that if I believe in Imanaga's certainty a bit more, right? Like the volume might make up for the per inning. Assuming Glasnow even beats him.
I don't think I would do that, only because, and this is something we'll talk about next year, I'll probably be off of Imanaga and Yamamoto. I'm going to do the historical research before I say this, but I have this memory that like the second year for Japanese pitchers is like Tommy John, like Palooza. I mean, think about
Senga. Senga's hurt right now.
Darvish, Senga, Ohtani, like. It feels like because they've kind of ramp up to this new kind of workload.
Sure.
And then their body just can't hold on to it for like they're good their first year, but then their second year,
but then they fall back.
They kind of get hurt. So like I said, this is an off-season article that I've already thought about this season or prior to this season. I was like, I want to do the research on this. I just didn't have the time.
That'll be interesting.
But yeah, because we're gonna have 2 Japanese pitchers entering their second year in the majors. I definitely want to do the research on that.
Yeah, I think that'll be really interesting to see what you come up with there. But Imanaga right now looks incredible. I understand people going for him, paying some big prices. That Machado one's really interesting. Obviously,
I think that's a really, really like fair trade.
Yeah,
to me, I feel like if it's hard.
You said you want to buy high. You said you want to pay market. That's market, baby.
Yeah, that probably is market. I mean,
there were some deals where Mookie Betts was involved, but the Imanaga person was getting more stuff. At least I will say that. Did you have any names you wanted to throw off the player rater?
C.J. Abrams.
Ooh, that's also high, but also intriguing.
I think I'd do it.
As long as my steals aren't really tied up in Abrams, like, again, you got to be able to afford it, because if you just go down in the offensive categories where you're going up in the pitching, who gives a shit? I can probably get there if my offense is clicking. I'm trying to think of who some of the late round guys are you'd have to have hit on to be comfortable there, but
what about just a straight up masher in Marcell Ozuna? I'm doing that, right?
Yes. I feel more comfortable doing the masher than I do doing the monster mash than the multi-category guy like Abrams.
What about slept on or perennially slept on stud Adolis Garcia.
Oh my goodness, the guy I've never been wrong about. Sometimes you just nail ones, and you're just like you're so on year after year, and you don't miss. That's me and Adolis Garcia, like 100%. 8 homers, 4 steals, 286 average. That is high. That is the going rate, right? Like, yes, that's in the Machado category where if I'm saying I'm going to pay high for Imanaga, which you said, not me, but if I'm agreeing, that's the kind of price I think you have to pay.
Obviously, I would try to have like I try to buy high with a sell high guy. Like that is kind of the dream. Like
ideal.
Like, hey, I'm giving you this really good guy for your really good guy, but I feel like my really good guy that I'm giving away is going to suck, or at least take a step back,
fall back, and yours is going to sustain. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I'd love to give you Taylor Ward for Imanaga right now.
That one's probably not going to work very often.
But what about Teoscar?
Now, that's an interesting one because I do think that there's enough cachet there, especially being on that team, having some good history previously. Dodgers fix another one type narrative. I would do it. It might not get done, but I don't think that's terribly far off of Adolis because Adolis isn't running. Well, he is 4 for 1 already or 4 for 5, I should say, already this year after only running 9 times last year. But if the steals don't come back, then he and Teoscar just aren't that far. But I would do that. I think that's a fair pay high to get a real big arm.
I would too.
Cool. So if y'all do make a trade for Imanaga, let us know what you did. Let's stick with their team, jump down some levels. Let's help out the real deep league folks here because that's, I think, where Javier Assad's best value is. He's getting some Imanaga wear off, the greatness of Imanaga and Steele is bleeding on, who's coming back today, by the way, is bleeding on to Assad. It's not very dominant. So I don't even really want to entertain sell high because I just don't think you're going to get much. He does have a 166 ERA and a 103 whip, but it's a 417 Sierra. The skills tell it. 6% swinging strike rate, 13% strikeout minus walk. He's running hot. I don't think Javier Assad is a bad pitcher, but he's nowhere near bankable enough to truly sell high on. You could maybe get Vidal Brujan or something, who I don't say that mockingly. I picked him up yesterday.
I picked him up in a bunch of leagues.
I'm intrigued by him. So that's what I was trying to say. Somebody that
to the podcast for years, how much I love Vidal Brujan when he was a rookie or whatever.
I would fully join you on that train and say that this podcast has been very pro Vidal Brujan. So again, I wasn't saying that negatively, but that's what you're doing to sell high on Assad. So I'm more asking you, where are you at on just his skills going forward? He's going to regress, but as Scott Pianowski likes to ask, regress to what with Javier Assad?
He's definitely going to regress. I mean, like, this is an even more amplified version of like Ranger Suárez, where he just allows so much contact. And it's the inverse of, teammate Nico Horner, where I go, I love hitters that get a lot of contact because it gives themselves the opportunity to get lucky. Assad allows so much contact, it gives himself the opportunity to get unlucky, and he hasn't yet. And so, and don't get me wrong, the Cubs' defense behind him is, especially up the middle, has been really, really good with Swanson and Nico Horner. But you're talking about a guy who's, an 8% walk rate, but he's been more of like a 9 to 10% walk rate guy in the past. 93% zone contact is insanely high. The fact that his BABIP is, 238 right now, like he's probably a 300 BABIP guy, naturally with the amount of contact he gives up. So this is one of those where you sell high, kind of take whatever you get, to be quite honest.
Even if it is something in like the Brujan class.
Yeah.
It might just be a spicier waiver pickup of recent time, which again is fine.
Like if you could get Tyler Black for Javier Assad right now, I would do that in a heartbeat.
I would do that. Yeah. I would absolutely do that. I don't know if you can get that, but I would certainly entertain it. That's where I'm at with Assad. He does have Pittsburgh twice coming up, and hey, we gotta come down on them a little bit. We've been saying, they're.
I don't have to do anything I don't want to, Paul.
Yes, you do. We've been saying they're National League KC, but they are not holding up their end of the bargain on that.
It's early.
They did this last year. They're 29th in
know.
WOBA against righties. Do you like Assad in both those matchups? And can you get to him in
Yeah.
12s?
I mean, I think anywhere you've got Assad, you're probably rolling with him until, or the one in Pittsburgh, one in Chicago.
Yeah, this week's in Pittsburgh. The next week in Chicago against Pittsburgh.
I definitely love it in Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh's such a great place to pitch. And then you're playing it start to start with Assad.
Agreed, especially in like 12s where you could pick him up. You might be able to team stream him right now. I might not get rid of Assad right away just to kind of see where it goes. And again, back-to-back Pittsburghs. If he does well this week, I'm more inclined to run him in Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to see, we've been talking about a lot of higher-end guys, but Assad's up there on the player rater. So he fits in with this class at least thus far. He's 17th, one spot ahead of our last guy here, Grandpa, Chris Sale. He's found some new control, 5% walk rate, and he's dominating. We know who Chris Sale is. We know what he can be. We know that the upside is there if he can stay healthy. That's obviously the biggest but most obvious caveat. So I don't want to ask about what's he going to do going forward because you don't know. Because if he doesn't stay healthy, then he's whatever. You selling high here. Name brand pitcher, 37 innings of a 3.44 ERA and 0.95 whip, 29% K rate, 4 wins being on a great team. Are you selling Chris Sale high? Because I think you can get a lot, by the way.
Yeah, this is so weird because you're talking about a guy who, when Boston traded him away, you were like, what's Boston going to do pitching wise? And Boston's pitching's been unreal good.
Crazy, by the way. Shouts to them because, I was like, your pitching is sketchy with him.
Imagine if they hadn't traded him away, though.
Oh, I know. It'd be, you'd have, how can the bullpen?
Yeah, I would say, though, that this is a huge product of the coaching in Atlanta. There is a massive change, change in Chris Sale's attack plan, right? So last year, he was, going into the zone 40 to 41% of the time, right?
Okay.
That's a little bit below league average. Remember we talked about zone rate, a couple percentage points is a big change.
It's big,
right?
Yes.
What do you think his zone rate is this year?
45.
48.
Damn. I went too high the last time you played this game with me, and this time I undersold it. So that's a 7-point jump. And again, each percentage point is big on zone rate.
And you're talking 6% above league average. This is the Robbie Ray,
here it is hitting.
Right here.
You can't.
And nobody can. Absolutely nobody can. In spite of the fact he's going into the zone almost 50% of the time, which is massive, he's also getting a 40% O swing. When he goes out of the zone, people are chasing that shit. This is in spite of the fact that he's gotten back to prime Chris Sale velocity, his velocity is up from last year. And he is getting great movement on his pitches. I guess if you are afraid he's going to get hurt because he is a slight frame guy, he has dealt with a lot of injury issues, but a lot of those injury issues were weird, right?
One was a comebacker for sure.
One was a comebacker. One was falling off his bike.
That's right. That's right.
It was all weird stuff. None of it was forearm or elbow, or shoulder, anything like that. I don't know that I would sell high on it. I think I would just roll with it. Because I don't think you should get, or I don't know that you will get what you should get for Chris Sale right now. Plus, he's one of the best teams in baseball.
That part is huge. And that's what really kind of intrigues me about maybe going out and paying the premium for Chris Sale in trade.
I would pay the premium on Chris Sale.
And I know the risks going in, right? He could break. Every pitcher I go out and get could break. I can't be afraid to make a move. And yes, his risk is elevated. Again, I'm getting out the standard caveats, but you never know when a new listener is listening. So sometimes I repeat stuff and I apologize. But I'm going in eyes wide open. I'm fine with that. If we're looking at Sale, first off, he's 18th on the player rater. Let's just do an 18 to 18 real quick to see where you're at. That would be, not a great one because it's Trey Turner. He's hurt. Christian Walker's above him. Teoscar's below him. Either of those, where you at on Sale for Walker or Teoscar?
I would take Sale and a heartbeat on both of those.
Yeah, I would too. What if Turner wasn't hurt? Where would you be on that?
I think I'm still going Turner.
It's close for me though. Again, if all my speed is not put into the Turner basket, I think the reason actually, you know what? I'm gonna balk a little bit. I'm gonna
Yeah, I
contradict
don't think
myself.
I would.
I think the reason it's not that close is because I know I can get more for Turner, a healthy Turner.
Yeah,
If he's
exactly.
fully
And
healthy,
that's what it is.
I can
Yeah.
go get you know, a Seattle pitcher who I
Because
would
like
take a cut above.
let's say we're redrafting today.
Yeah,
I think we're taking Chris Sale still behind the Scoobles and the Pablo Lopez's, the
yep,
Kirby's, or at least in that area.
agreed.
I think we're taking Chris Sale towards like the fifth round, right? The fourth, fifth
Like
round.
where Blake Snell was going.
Yeah, exactly. I think they flip flop.
Yep,
You
I
know,
think that makes sense. So yeah, not Turner, healthy Turner, no. Okay, then what about? Here's a guy I almost said when we were doing the other one with Ranger Suarez. I think let's say two catcher, just because in one catcher leagues, it's so easy to kind of just go find somebody. But Ryan Jeffers is 23rd on the player rater. He's going crazy. In a deeper 2C league where one great catcher can be a big impact, where you at on that with Sale for Jeffers? 6 homers, 291 average, leading off a bunch, by the way, if you haven't seen that. 17 runs, 22 ribs for Jeffers. Is Jeffers for Sale anything that you'd entertain?
probably not. I think I still want
Okay.
Chris Sale, but I was wrong on Jeffers. I really was.
Oh, you weren't in on Jeffers this year?
I got him accidentally in a couple leagues, like where like I was like, oh well, screw it. I missed out on all the other guys I want. I'll just take Ryan Jeffers and maybe I'll get lucky.
You know what I liked? I can't even pretend like I was Ubering on him, but I got him and I was happy to get him and I sought him out. What I liked is that despite the great season last year, his price really wasn't that high.
No,
Jeffers,
it wasn't
I
that, and
found,
that's why I ended up with him. If he had been
yeah,
going
he was
in
affordable.
like the Francisco Alvarez, like obviously
Exactly.
the injury hurt him, you know. So I'm not saying like people were wrong on him, but like if he was going in that area, I wouldn't have been in on him.
Yep, that I totally agree there when it comes to Ryan Jeffers, excuse me. So yeah, Chris Sale, you know, I'm looking at some other names. I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna find like that sweet spot there because it really just depends how much you're willing to take on the risk. Because we know it's
Yeah.
there, but I love Sale, and when he's on, he's an absolute stud. Is
See, honestly, I'm just gonna ride with Sale almost every time. Like unless I'm getting like
unless it's silly,
unless it's like a fifth round hitter or a fourth round hitter, like I'm probably
yeah,
or above that. Like I'm just not gonna get rid of Chris Sale. Like I know it can end immediately, but it's kind of like the Tyler Glasnow situation. You knew what you were getting into when you signed up for it.
exactly.
Enjoy
Ride
the
the
ride
ride.
and hope that you were right in going like, hey, maybe this is the year. Maybe it's
Yep.
the year he stays healthy. Because if he does, like if you get 180 innings from Chris Sale, if you get 180 innings from Tyler Glasnow, your pitching might win you your league.
Absolutely. No, I'm with that. You got on the ride the ride. And I
Yep.
say that even for the guys that I didn't want to get on the ride, but if you did, I want to encourage the people to do that. Namely like Hunter Green and Nick Lodolo. Like, yeah, they're scary. Don't try to time it though. Ride
Yeah.
the ride.
Yep.
Ride the Chris Sale ride. So there you go. There's a handful of guys that you know, either trying to break out or they're off to a fast start, or they're the same guy they have been, Dylan Cease, and they're simply doing what they do, which is have a wide range of outcomes that can lean very, very high end, but can also be pretty rough. So there you go. We'll be back on Thursday. And like I said, Thursday and Friday should be as normal. I'll let you know tonight when I confirm with Jen the exact times, but I think Friday should have no problem for us to do the two-step. But I'll talk to you later in the week. Have a good one.
Take it easy.